Do you have a thought for why the Yankees were going through so many injuries last year and also why it seemed to continue into this year?
You know what? I've thought about that a lot, and I've heard that question a lot. And the biggest thing in the old days was to train for the duration of the season, how long it was. It's almost now like the training has got to the point of so strong, so quick. It's all about strength and speed to the point where you're not even training athletes, in my mind, to play 162 games. I don't think anybody's expected to do that anymore. And to me, that's kind of strange because I'm still from kind of that old school era where, you came to the park expecting to play every day.
It certainly did, and you did it. I mean, obviously, you were a remarkably tough player, Paul, and playing through, pain, injuries, and you represented the Yankees brilliantly. When you look at this team, though, when you look at a guy like Aaron Judge and the injuries that he's faced, and still the concern about that rib, do you get concerned about with Judge that these injuries are going to continue to follow him throughout his career?
Well, you look at Aaron Judge, and he's a specimen. There's no doubt about it. He's not your normal-sized baseball player. So when he dives, when he hits, you end up breaking something. Rib injuries or things like that, hitting a wall, those things are going to happen through the course of your career. Obviously, part of being a superstar is being able to take the field day in and day out. Aaron Judge is an all-around great athlete and a good player. He's not just the guy that hits the 500-foot home run. So, I think it's a big year for him once he gets over this injury to get through, even if it's a half season, and get the fans knowing that when they go to the ballpark that Aaron Judge will be in the lineup.
Paul O'Neill's the mystery guest. And, Paul, you said maybe that players aren't training right now for the rigors of 162 games. So to fix that, is that up to the individual player to change how they prepare for the season, or is that up to the team to try to convince the player of how they should be preparing for the season? Like, who does that fall on?
Well, I think more so now it's more of an organization thing where, you have specific guidelines and training schedules where, in the old days it was pretty much on your own. You would get a personal trainer in the off season, you would do all you could, and then you would go through the rigors of spring training to get into baseball shape, and they expected you to come in shape. But, baseball's a 24/7, 12-month-a-year job now. It's not just what you do during the season. So, like I said, I think it's much more of an organizational push where they have certain guidelines where they want guys to do certain things. Everyday players, pitchers, training schedules are completely different. So you kind of have to categorize, how you train certain players.
Paul, when you look at guys trying to keep themselves ready here, during this to hopefully have baseball return at some point this summer, how difficult, I understand guys have made a lot of money. How difficult of a task is that? How concerned would you be about ramping it back up, injuries early on when baseball does come back?
Well, I think most guys are able to get in the gym. They're able to run or things like that. But to be able to get out on a baseball field now and do the things that you do on a baseball field, that's a different aspect. And that's why you're going to need a spring training before you get back out there, even if it is in July. But, it's a weird thing to go through and not have a date. I think once you get a specific date, then in your head as a player, you can kind of gauge how long it's going to take you to get ready. And, usually the everyday players are, could get ready to play a game in a couple of weeks where the pitchers usually need a little more time to get arm strength. So, again, you're training two types of athletes. Me as an everyday player, I knew if I went into spring training within 2 weeks to 3 weeks at the most, you were in pretty game-ready shape.